Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. So yesterday was my birthday, and I was thinking, everyone's like, "Yeah, happy birthday," and stuff like that. And I don't know, I think somewhere between my 11th and 12th beer, I was thinking, I bet there's somebody out there that hates my birthday. And the only correct answer to that is my mother. And if you think about it, your mother probably hates your birthday, especially if you're the firstborn child. If you're the firstborn child, your mother may talk about, hopefully your mother loves you, first of all, and would never say this to you. But in their deepest, darkest private thoughts, they must hate your birthday, especially if you're the firstborn. And maybe you can get your mother, maybe she hates you or something like that. You could ask her, what do you really think about my birthday? She may talk about it like a Vietnam vet, Yeah, I remember that day. It rained all morning on early spring morning on May in 1977. My water broke at a Kmart. They called the ambulance. There's this very sweet black lady who took care of me, helped feed me into the ambulance, and they took me to the hospital. My God, I felt like I was being ripped open. I was in labor for 11 hours. I thought I was going to die. I thought it was going to be the end of my life. I cursed my husband. I cursed the child. I cursed God. It was the worst day of my life. I mean, seriously, and if your mother isn't like a combat veteran, that has to be like the most horrible day of their life. So I understand if those are in your private thoughts. The fact that you would never say it to your child, that's an amazing thing. That's an amazing thing. So when you think about it, every time you have a birthday and your mom says happy birthday to you, you should say something like, thanks for doing it. Because she could be sitting there still talking about it like a non-vet, be like, yeah, the doctor, he pulled you out and weighed you. And he said, wow, 11 pounds, 9 ounces. It's a wonder you're still conscious. And of course, he had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. It was 1977. He had a good whiskey buzz. So he was going to be a smartass. So I just want to remind you that Mother's Day is coming up. Even if it's your birthday, it shouldn't be all about you. Even if it's Mother's Day, it shouldn't be all about you. But just want to remind you that Mother's Day is coming up. Do something nice for her, because she unless she hates you, she must have those private thoughts about how she hates your birthday. It's also probably why your mother always remembers your birthday. It's like, I remember that day. I can feel it in the air. The pollen levels are right about that time of year when I had that child. I got ripped open, stem to stern. And that smart-ass doctor. Anyway, Mother's Day is coming up. Do something nice for your mom. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. I want to remind you again to go to Patreon. Patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I'd very much appreciate it. And the next person who becomes a patron will get the final patron pack with a special extra gift. So, and seriously, it's like $100 value. So you'd be stupid not to become a patron to get that last thing, that last patron pack. You can also send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag ShockMonkeyRadio, all one word. And follow me on social media over here on Twitter at DNALETSAW. That's the word Wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. I know it's complicated and confusing, but I was really into T.S. Eliot back then, and I guess I still am. I'm still into T.S. Eliot. Have you read The Wasteland? Have you read The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock? I love that poem. That's like my favorite poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Anyway, or I'm on Instagram at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. Yeah, you want to talk a little bit of, have a little bit of a Bible study? Let's do a Bible study. And like all my viewers, I'm sure many of you have your Bibles right nearby. So I'm going to let you run. And the verse we're looking up today, because I had an interesting conversation about this verse recently, is Numbers 22:21 through 29. That's the book of Numbers, chapter 22, verse 21. We'll start there. Balaam got up in the morning, saddled his donkey, and went with the Moabite officials. But God was very angry when he went, and the angel of the Lord stood in the road to oppose him. Balaam was riding on his donkey, and his 2 servants were with him. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the road with a drawn sword in his hand, it turned off the road into a field. Balaam beat it to get it back on the road. See what I'm saying? The donkey is not allowed to be near anything pure and good. That's why the donkey had to veer. All right. Then the angel of the Lord stood on the narrow path through the vineyards, with walls on both sides. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, it pressed close against the wall, crushing Balaam's foot against it. So he beat the donkey again. All right, so this story already has a lot of stuff I like. You got an evil donkey, can't go anywhere near something pure and good, like an angel of the Lord. All right, and then you get the donkey being beaten. So I really like this verse. All right, then the angel of the Lord moved on ahead and stood in a narrow place where there was no room to turn, either left or right or left. And the donkey saw the angel of the Lord. It lay down under Balaam, and he was angry and beat it with his staff. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and it said to Balaam, "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" Donkeys can talk, horses can talk, okay? All right? Biblical proof that horses, donkeys, and other things are evil. All right? Interpret it your way. All right? Balaam answered the donkey. So he starts talking back to the donkey. "Am I not your own donkey?" What does that mean? "Which you have always ridden." Oh, no. This is what the donkey said. No, Balaam answered the donkey, "You have made a fool of me. If only I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now." See, this is really heating up for me. Whew. Getting flustered. All right, so the donkey said to Balaam, Am I not your own donkey, which you have always ridden to this day? Have I been in the habit of doing this to you?" "No," Balaam answered. "No," he said. Then the Lord opened Balaam's eyes, and he saw the angel of the Lord in the road with the sword drawn. And so he bowed low, fell face down. The angel of the Lord said to him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? I have come here to oppose you because of your path is the reckless one before." Okay, and then he starts lecturing Balaam. Because the point of it is to deal with Balaam, who is the human being and the only creature that really matters. The fact of the matter is the donkey can't go anywhere near something that's good. It's kind of like the holy ground thing, where Moses had to take off his sandals. It's kind of like donkeys and like evil creatures like that can't go on near holy ground. And so that was what that was about. And then the donkey, I don't know, because God is good, because angels are good and more forgiving than people like me, he made the donkey speak. But the whole point is that, he told the donkey it's okay to speak in this particular instance because they all can speak. I don't know if you know that. Have you even seen Mr. Ed? That's a documentary, for God's sakes. So God may be able to forgive donkeys and horses. The angel may be able to forgive donkeys and horses. But I'm not God. I'm not an angel. It's my favorite verse in the Bible. Isn't it fun to do Bible study sometimes? Some guy was like arguing with me. It's like, see, donkeys are good. Horses are good. And it's like, no. It's like the donkey was obeying the angel. It's like, no. Donkey couldn't go near the angel. The angel knew that because he was trying to get to the Balaam. Anyway. All right, let's go on to this next topic. I saw a couple of, what's the word? Did we talk about my birthday party with the guys who showed up?
Yeah, you skipped.
Did I skip that? Yeah. Norm Macdonald and Bill Murray and Danny McBride came by yesterday when we were setting up in the hotel room. They only stayed for like 20 minutes, which pissed me off. I mean, I know you talked to Danny longer than I did, so I mean, it's like, thanks for the cake and everything. I was thinking you guys splurged on it and so forth. And I mean, I was surprised Danny remembered me at all. I was surprised Norm was able to come out. I mean, for obvious reasons, but he said he won a game of craps against the devil and was able to come out. And I was like, did you ever hear the Ballad of Billy Markham? And he's like, what? The only reason you know that is because of me. Okay. So, it was good seeing Norm. And of course, Bill is always a riot. He is always hilarious. I think he died like one time while he was there. And then I think he made a pact with the devil in the Caddyshack days too. So it's weird. It's weird talking to these guys because I'm not the kind of guy who'd make a pact with the devil. And I don't know. They wanted me to join some club. What's it called? Bohemian Dove, but Grove, something like that. I was like, I don't know. I'm not a joiner, But thanks for coming by, Madman Appreciation Month. This was actually show the room we're in right now. We got a different angle. This is taken in a different part of the hotel room where it was actually, this picture was taken over there. Can you go back to yeah, like this is the back of the room, and the picture we took that picture over there. We got another banner that says Madman Appreciation Month. It was a hell of a party. I don't know where the couch cushions are, by the way. I think somebody took them home. What kind of dick? Like, we got the hotel suite. I mean, it's not cheap. It's going to be a long time before I can use this credit card again. You know what I'm saying?
As someone who's crashed in many hotel rooms, the couch cushions might be in the bathtub.
But they're not in there. That's what I mean. Oh. We got like a hangover situation. Should we check the roof? But I'm serious. I don't know where the couch cushions are, and I'm not going to be able to use the credit card for a long time. Madman Appreciation Month is always fun. Thanks for getting in on the party. Become a patron today. All right. Man, I don't know why I've been jumping around these notes. All right. I saw these guys do that. Maybe you've seen them too. They go around and they'll pretend to be a kid on social media and like try to lure pedos into public by pretending they're like 8-year-old girl or something like that. Grown men. They're catching these grown men. And then they'll like beat them up and so forth, smack them around, punch them, kick them. Because, you know, I understand the impulse. Somebody who does such things, I understand the impulse that you want to do that. But is what they're doing right? I don't think it is. You know, and I think about like extreme content. Like I was thinking about Jackass for some reason. I was watching that video and I was like, this is kind of like Jackass social media. And in many ways, it's action. You know, it's reality TV action. And unfortunately, action in many ways means violence. And being violent, I understand the impulse to want to be violent to pedos. I get that. However, is what you're doing right? It's vigilantism. All right? And when you talk about vigilantism, for some reason, my mind always comes back to Batman. Are you like Batman? Are you just going to cuff the guy, smack him a couple times? Oh, he fell, officer, and hand him over to the cops? Or are you just going to beat him up, film it, and upload it to the internet and see if you can make money? I think that should probably be illegal because that's veering away from Batman and towards Rorschach. You know what I'm saying? When in terms of morality, I don't like pedophiles. You know what I mean? And I understand the impulse to want to kick their ass, but is what they're doing right? I don't think so. I think that you need to trust law enforcement. You can present your evidence to law enforcement in hopes of getting him arrested legally, but just the satisfying, you know, beat down aspect of it. I mean, that's vigilantism. That's wrong, and that's what led to lynchings and so forth. You know, somebody does something horrible and everyone's like, oh, you know, there's a ton of white people lynched, okay? A small town, a bunch of people get pissed off about what some asshole did, no matter what their skin color. And they get freaked out and they go too far and lynch somebody over shoplifting or grabbing a white girl's ass or whatever. And so, and I think that's wrong. You have to have some faith in the justice system. You can't rely on the people always take the law into their own hands. There should be like your government. Anyway, I get some weird comments when I do those body cam videos because some people don't like it. You know, some don't like my perspective because I'm pro cop and so forth. Everyone's like, oh, you're on the side of the cops. And I was like, yes, I am. Because they're like, in all those body cam videos, they're like, you're a civil servant. You work for me. It's like, no. He works for us, the law-abiding citizens, to protect us from assholes like you. Anyway. You got to trust the law a little bit. Anyway, you want to? Hey, thank you, Mo. Thanks. Now it's now the FBI is going to be looking for both of us.
This seemed appropriate.
Yeah. After what I was talking about, I'm going to lure him out. Lure him out to a Walmart and whoop his ass on camera, and then I'll get 3,000 views. See, and that's what bothers me about this whole thing is that. If I like compromise my ethics in that way, I could get way more views. Mo knows what I'm talking about. Because he was like, we were talking one time and he was like, yeah, if you want me to pose as a pedophile, I'll kick the shit out of me. I'll do it. Just put me in the credits. I was like, seriously, dude? I'm in. Canadians are fucking weird. Anyway, love you, guy. Love you, guy. Love you, guy. Yeah. Sorry, I got drunk last night, so if the show sucks, it's just a normal Wednesday on Shock Monkey Radio. You want to get toxically masculine for a second? I don't know. I guess I was drunk last night, and I was like, oh, I got a creative burst of energy, so I want to talk about something. I didn't think about, because you're drinking beer, and you're swiping through like Facebook dating or whatever dating app you're using, and I see so many of these 4 through 6s that could be so much better. I mean, do women know that, like, if you have a pretty face, you can get away with a lot more weight on your body? I think they do know that, because a lot of those girls who have pretty faces and are look overweight, which there's many hot chicks hiding inside fat chicks. You know what I'm saying? And there's plenty of guys out there that would say, hey, yeah, I'll date you. Let's go for a walk together. Let's get into Frisbee golf together, because we could both stand to be more healthy. I know I could be. And so there are a lot of hot chicks hiding inside fat chicks. And sometimes I look through these profiles and I'm saying, I want to message these girls and say, you would be a 10 if you dropped 100 pounds. But you can't really say that because it's toxic masculinity. All right. But for you chubby ones, for you thick girls with pretty faces, take a look at the ugly girls with rockin' bodies. You know what I'm saying? If you ever seen a girl with an ugly face, but her body is like a fucking knife, do you know what I'm talking about? Like the blade thin and just a rockin' bod. So basically, what I'm saying here is the argument against, like, for the Butterface and the Butterass. You know what I'm saying? You like everything about her Butterface, like everything about her Butterass. You know what I'm saying? And even these chonky women, they'll intentionally put the fat, I don't know how they do this, but through will, the fat into the butt, into the thighs, and into the boobs. Is it pure will? Do you sit there at night and direct fat cells with your mind? Fat cells, go to my butt. Fat cells, go to my butt. Does that work? It's like, fat cells, go to my dick. Fat cells, go to my dick. I'm going to try that tonight. So, girls, you got to know that. You got to know that, like, if you have a pretty face and you're chunky, you could drop like 50, 20, 50, 30, pounds and be a 10. And even if you're an ugly girl with an ugly face, get that body in shape and guys will pay attention to you regardless. You know what I'm saying? As an ugly guy who is overweight, you could say that about me. You could say, you could be a 7, Scott. You could be a 7, bad man. You drop some weight. Sure. But like, chicks are real big on the, like, teeth thing. They're like, you don't smile in your photographs. I'm not interested. So clearly you have bad teeth. It's like, yes, I do. I remember there's this one chick I was really interested in. She had a rockin' bod, but bad teeth. And I was like, man, I would love to get some babies out of you. We should mate. And we had this conversation. It was like, but imagine how screwed up our kids' teeth will be. And I was like, people like, you can get the teeth fixed. I guess I could do that. But I mean, it would be a lie. It'd be like you meet me and you're like, oh, he's a handsome man with good teeth. He has good DNA. And then you pop out the kids and it was like, oh, those teeth look familiar. It's like, I don't know. It seems like a lie. It's almost like wearing makeup for men. And I don't approve of it. I think women should wear less makeup. Anyway, just some advice for you 4s and 6s out there. 4 to 6s out there. All right. Somebody told me we should start hating on this guy. I think his name is.
This guy?
Yeah, Gilles Simeoni, or Giles. And I remember this guy. I know him. I remember this guy. I think he, when I lived in Lake Placid, he was like an exchange student. He was like 10 years older than us. And he was weird. And like kids his age didn't want to play with him. I guess I was like 7 or 8, 7. And he was like 17. And so like the teenage kids didn't like hanging out with him. So he'd hang out with the younger kids my age. And he'd come up and say stuff like, I am uncircumcised. And since we were kids and we had no idea what that meant, we're like, what is that? And then he'd immediately show us what it meant. And we're like, oh, you got like a dog dong. And he'd do that to everybody. Come up. Hello, my name is Gilles, and I am uncircumcised. I'm like, what does that mean? Is there a frog in your throat? And he's like, I'm uncircumcised. Look. And a little bit of drool came out of my mouth. I'm getting hot. The room is hot. I'm not getting sexually aroused talking about this guy's donkey dong. And what else did he do? We're just hating on him. Yeah, and I remember this one time. It was like I got in this argument with my girlfriend. She was the one that got away. You know what I'm saying? I got in this argument, and he was with me in Virginia here. Because he gets around to America so much, you know. He's like, hey, Kusaka sucks. And so he was hanging out, and he saw me get in this argument with the one that got away, and he's like, you should totally break up with her. She seems like a pain in the ass. Pain in the ass. Yeah. And I was like, it's the worst advice I ever took from this guy, Gilles Simeoni. What a douche. You know, and there's this one time he had like these stables nearby. What's that? Luray, in Luray, Virginia. And he came out. He said, "Come on out to the stables. I want to show you something." And he's like, he bought these like thoroughbred horses. They're racing horses. Who keeps track of that shit? Anyway, so he bought like a couple thoroughbreds, and he's I'm going to stud these out. I've been collecting the semen from the horses. And I was like, you are a dirty horse breeder now too? You dirty horse breeder. And then he's like, sometimes I put my own genetic material in and it's like, what are you talking about, dude? Gilles, are you fucking these horses, man? You having sex with these horses? I'm just adding my own DNA to the cocktail to make a superior racing horse. And I'm like, Gilles, are you seriously? First of all, you understand that human and horse DNA are incompatible, right? And he said, I don't know, it could make a centaur. And it's like, you stop right now. You stop right now with your crazy, crazy super villain biological experiments. Stop fucking horses. Fuck this guy. Gilles Simeoni. You may ask yourself why. Why get mad at him? Why am I mad at horses? You got to really ask yourself these questions. You know, go back to Corsica, asshole. Go back to Corsica and pretend you're French. You're just a bunch of gay Italians. Go back to your three-way with Tomax and Xamot. Fuck this guy. That was fun. I've never heard of who that guy was until last night. Somebody said, can I get you to hate on just anything? Anything and anybody? He said, do that.
Send that person a link to that clip.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna clip that. I probably got to put the warning at the beginning because I swore a lot. Oh my God, we're really moving through it. We may have to do the movie reviews next week. No, screw it. We're doing the movie reviews. We can skim the news. All right, let's do a movie review of Justice League 2017. We talked about this movie when it came out. We went to see it in the theaters. But if you remember, that was when we ran into that racist outside after the movie. And that kind of like overshadowed everything. I thought I was going to have to kick some racist ass. But I watched this movie again, and I was able to like think clearly about it. And how can I put it? It gets more stars than it deserves. And that's only because I prefer DC's mythology better than Marvel's. And I kind of miss the DC movies. And I wanted more Justice League type stuff. And I know there's all sorts of problems with what's that guy's name? Ezra Miller, who got in trouble, guy who played Flash. I understand they got problems with that. I understand like Superman had a mustache in a couple scenes. They had to get like a green screened out or whatever. I know Gal Gadot is a horrible actress, and that's why her character is, I don't know, not so much a leader as she is a maternal character. Wonder Woman in this movie, she's a maternal character, which is okay. It's good. She's, encourages every other male character, and plus she's Wonder Woman. She's a badass all on her own. The Affleck Batman is growing on me because I think when you consider the fact that he's like old Batman, I'm okay with Affleck playing old Batman. Additionally, what I like is that like Batman is constantly getting hurt in this movie, which makes sense. He's kind of like the Bill Maxwell from Greatest American Hero. You're like a normal guy palling around with his superheroes. You're going to get like a shoulder dislocated now and then because, you know, Superman throws you into a car. And I like that. You know, he's Batman. He dislocates his shoulder. Wonder Woman helps him set it and stuff like that. He's still Batman about it, but he takes serious injury because Aquaman, I guess that's the best you could do about like when it comes to putting Aquaman on film. Put a lot of tattoos on a sexy guy that drinks a lot of alcohol. I guess that works. That makes Aquaman cool. And Aquaman should be cool, I think. And I think they did Aquaman justice because, you know, there's more ocean. As far as superheroes go, Aquaman covers more territory. The best use of a character in this movie was Cyborg, hands down. Cyborg was always one of my favorite characters in the Teen Titans. And additionally, he was always a black character. He didn't have to race swap anybody. And that's like starting to become important to me these days. And what's great about Cyborg is that he was a lead-in to the whole Mother Box, Apocalypse, Darkseid storyline, which is an interesting piece of lore from the DC universe, and I would love to see more on that, you know? And Cyborg was the foot in the door to all that, and he was portrayed with such a like accuracy from the comic books, you know, being like fighting the Mother Box that turned him into what he is, and he was always a very interesting character, and I was impressed. And it's a shame, like so much other stuff was overshadowed by his performance, and how well that character was written in the movie. And I would love to see more like that. I would love to see some Teen Titans stuff. I'd love to see some Doom Patrol stuff. You know, after the Justice League, and obviously the problems they've had, you know, with doing anything more, because, you know, there are people who are fatigued with like the whole Batman Superman thing, you know, because so many movies involve those two characters. And even though they did the Shazam movies, you know, Superman made a cameo in one of those. And so, in many ways, I wish there was more cinema lore when it comes to the DC cinematic universe. And that kind of breaks my heart. Plus, the very first scene in the movie, they should have, was very disappointing to me. It was a bad hook. And they come down and Superman, these two kids who are podcasters come up and interview Superman, which is cool. You started off pretty good, even though Superman has a mustache and they had to like take it out. And the kids, like, one of them finally asks a really good question. What's your favorite thing about Earth? And then Superman thinks for a second, turns to the camera, and then it cuts out. Superman should have answered. He should have said something like, tacos. Tacos are the best thing about Earth. Kryptonians would never have thought about something like that. I fed that into the Kryptonian computer, and the Kryptonian computer was like, wow. I have these little AI robot things that hang around to the Hall of Justice, not my Fortress of Solitude, and they come around and they start asking me questions about tacos. And I was like, explain to me. They're like, explain to us how they eat it. It's like they kind of have to turn their head sideways, because otherwise it'll like spill out, or you're like biting into a taco weird. And they're like, it just blew the AI's mind. You know, the AI at the Fortress of Solitude was busy for like 3 days when we fed tacos into the computer. That would have been a way better answer for Superman instead of just cutting out. Then you start thinking, man, like Superman's kind of weird. Or Superman's an alien. Let's not forget that. Because he gets to Earth and he's like, tacos? What kind of backwards ass planet is this that would invent tacos? So Justice League, 8 of 13 stars, and I'm being generous. And mostly it's the disappointment. I wanted more. A lot of people say, like, oh, you got to watch this cut, that cut. And it's just like, I don't even know what cut I saw. But I was still disappointed. Anyway, let's go on to the next one, which is a really surprisingly good movie called the 2017 movie, The Mummy. Tom Cruise movie. And of course, like these days when I see like Tom Cruise solo headliner, let's see what this is about. And he's in this character. His character in this movie is a thief. He's a looter. He's He's a long-range reconnaissance guy who loots ancient antiquities when he's in Iraq, which is Mesopotamia, which was, the cradle of civilization. Yeah, we all know that. We don't need subtitles. You just say Mesopotamia or Iraq because it's both the same place. But you don't need to put in the subtitles cradle of civilization. I hate reading. I hate reading a movie. So that's why this doesn't get that takes a star off. I'll put it that way. However, Tom Cruise gets cursed. He and his friend get cursed by a mummy. And the curse is awesome. The mummy is hot. All right. Granted, it's a mummy at first, but over time, she gains, just like the old mummies. It's like the more people she kills, the more human she looks. And you're on Tom Cruise's side. You're like, hey man, either way, you get the hot blonde archaeologist chick, or you get the hot brunette mummy immortal. And you're cursed, so now you're immortal. And that's interesting because Tom Cruise's character was cursed and now he became immortal. And it's kind of he became immortal in a lucky way, in a fate way. It's like he survives a plane crash, and that whole plane crash scene was unnecessary. It was just like, we got this rotating set we built for Inception, and we might as well use it. And so we'll just have film the scene of a plane going down, and Tom Cruise is used to these effects-driven thrill ride movies, so we can do it. And it's like, it was kind of unnecessary, but he survives a plane crash without a mark on him, a little Unbreakable style. All right. Additionally, the mummy scenes. The mummy, when it would feed off somebody and then raise those dead people, she'd become more human-like, and then raise those people to become her undead army to do her bidding. It is a terrifying concept. And a lot of it should be like, oh God, the Egyptian gods are real. Because it's terrifying. And if you think about like the whole mummy concept, the concept of the mummy started like hitting fiction in the era of when people were like exploring ancient Egypt, discovering it. It was real big around the turn of the 20th century. And then when cinema started happening around the 20s and 30s, movies about mummies and ancient Egypt and stuff like that started coming out in theaters. So do you understand how played out the concept of mummy is, of a mummy movie? It's been done so many times over the years in the history of cinema that I was shocked at how good the script is, how innovative and new a mummy script like this is. Granted, there's a lot of themes that follow like from the similar, because there's like other like homages to other mummy movies in the Mummy. Mummy. It's Mummy's Day coming up. So I was just really impressed at how good it was. There's one aspect I didn't like. I didn't like Henry's character. What's his name? Russell Crowe's character. I found that to be unnecessary. And reading subtitles, I understand you're trying to explain that Tom Cruise is cursed, but because of that, he understands ancient Egyptian. And so he's having conversations with the mummy, the hot mummy chick, in her native tongue. And it's supposed to show that she's in his head. And it's really good. The Mummy 2017, 12 of 13 stars. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. All right, let's get into the news worth knowing. We'll scoot right along. Oh, I see the chat now. I had to scroll down a little bit. Why? He's doing jokes now. Why did the Joker take an Uber home? He got tired of riding his Harley. This is the kind of guy that Googles jokes. He's the kind of guy that watches my show and is like, is he reading something, or does he Google every funny thing he says, or it just like comes naturally to him? It comes naturally to me because I understand humor. After hours of writing. Well, that's what I mean. It's like I've written so much. But that's the point. It's like some people got it, some people don't. Some people need to go to Google or use AI to run a game.
Stop hating on AI.
I'm just busting your balls because you want to do this. We can talk about that later. Anyway, it's like you should probably know something about the military. All right, let's get serious. Serious news worth knowing. You already did the thing, right?
Yep.
All right. Defund the police mecca of Minneapolis overrun with violence. Failed leadership. Former AG candidate says. All right, we'll do just lead paragraphs. How about that? String of shootings in Minneapolis last week left 6 victims dead and 5 others injured in just 24 hours, highlighting the results of years of anti-police rhetoric and failed leadership. 2022 Minnesota Attorney General Republican nominee Jim Schultz told Fox News Digital. Yeah. Yeah, you threw this guy, Derek Chauvin, in jail. And he doesn't need to be there. Just because a junkie overdosed while he was near him, you know. And they overplayed this racial angle, and believe me, people are getting real sick of this. You overplayed this racial angle, and now every single cop in Minnesota, and in many ways the entire country, doesn't want to be the next Derek Chauvin, and so they don't want to enforce the law because some whiny little video clip is going to get out, and they're going to clip it out of context, and people are going to forget that he was passing bad bills, that he swallowed a bunch of fentanyl, and you're going to go to jail for 20 years and labeled a racist. All right? And so every single cop in America, and particularly in Minneapolis and particularly in Minnesota, are going to be like, I'm not going to try to enforce the law because I don't want to be thrown in jail for 25 years and be labeled a racist. So this is what happens when you don't get serious about law enforcement. If you listen to the whiny, junky crybabies, there's, oh, it's all about racism. No, it's the fucking junkie part. It's the drain on society part. Doesn't matter your skin color. If it was a white guy who's doing the same shit, it probably could have happened to him too. We're getting real sick of the race card. When I mean we, I don't mean people with my skin color, you fucking racist. I mean Americans. Law-abiding Americans. All right, let's shift the conversation just a little bit to Alcatraz, because this has been in the news. Trump has said he kind of wants to reopen Alcatraz, but this former FBI agent floats Alcatraz 2.0. It's a perfect new prison site that would scare even the most hardened criminals. So he says it's hard to do. Trump wrote on social media, rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders. The dregs of society, really, who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. But this FBI agent says, it's hard to read. They don't put all the information, like all the pertinent information in the first paragraph anymore. So you got to sort through it. So this, this guy is suggesting, what's his name? FBI agent is suggesting San Clemente Island, where Navy SEALs train. That's interesting. Like it's a bit like escapee. Escapes out of the San Clemente prison and runs across a bunch of Navy SEALs training. You would very much regret escaping if a bunch of SEALs got a hold of you. But I think Alcatraz should be refurbished. I think it should be refurbished, reopened, and because I think it's kind of a symbol of justice for the West Coast in many ways. You know, yeah, of course, a bunch of movies are based upon it and so forth. But I mean, and that's why it's kind of legendary all over the world, particularly in the West Coast of the United States, because, you know, the baddest of the bad would go there. So I think it's kind of a symbol. I think symbols mean something. I think the Statue of Liberty means something. I think Mount Rushmore means something. And I think Alcatraz represents justice on the West Coast, which, you know, West Coast needs more of. I don't know if you noticed. All right, let's talk about the thing I could not find on Fox News. A lot of mainstream people do not want to talk about this what's her name? Shiloh Hendrix chick. All right, so this is from the independent.co.uk, so of course it's going to be biased. MAGA turns N-word shouting woman into a folk hero and blames Texas stabbing case for outpouring of support. Daily Wire host Matt Walsh says that he hopes Shiloh Hendrix raises another $500,000 over the viral video of her calling a young child the N-word, saying it's time to start swinging back. So Minnesota, a woman was called who called a 5-year-old black child the N-word and then repeated the racial slur multiple times in a viral video while defending her actions has raised over $700,000, and she has become a cultural folk hero to much of the American far right. Anyway, one paragraph from the Independent. That's all I want, because these people are nuts. You know, they don't understand. It's like it. They also like link the which matters. It links the stabbing of Austin Metcalf and the guy who killed him Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player, the track guy, who stabbed a white guy because he was white. Let's be honest, it was a hate crime. I know. It's like, that's all going to be determined in a court of law. You said that yourself, Badman, when you're talking about vigilantism. Sure, but that's what it is, I think. And just like O.J. Simpson, black people were okay with O.J. Simpson killing white people. And for some reason, they don't care about black people killing black people. They never care about that. But the way that the black community, for the most part, reacted to the murder of Austin Metcalf has led to this situation where a woman who is in the wrong, you shouldn't yell racial slurs at kids, even if that kid has probably heard that particular racial slur. Most other kids, you yell a racial slur at them, they're probably the first time they ever heard it. They wouldn't know what you're like. Well, I don't know what that means. But a young black kid, he's probably heard that word many, many times. And that's the point, is that, you can't, just because of your skin color, you can't get mad just because somebody else uses this word, even if the context is wrong and the person you're targeting is wrong. And you shouldn't do that to a child. You shouldn't shout the N-word at a kid, even if they are acting like an N-word. And that is wrong, and that's why I would never give money to this chick. However, I am glad she's raising money because I know how crazy a lot of people are about this thing. I think her life is seriously in danger. The life of her kid is seriously in danger because black people in particular lose their shit when white people say it. They'll sit there and use it in every other word in a sentence all day long. And I think the reason they do that is they are hoping to catch somebody else saying it. And then all of a sudden it justifies any violence that follows. Because you said a word and the color of your skin isn't the same color as theirs. Do you understand how racist and absurd and illogical that is? We all have access to the words. And the reason why words exist, words like the N-word, is that sometimes it's the perfect word to describe somebody. It shouldn't be a kid, though. You know what I mean? That's why I'm not giving money to this chick. I don't necessarily support her, but I'm on Matt Walsh's side. I'm glad that this is happening. I'm not saying that white people are just dying to say this word. I haven't said it, have I? I don't know if people track that thing. We're not dying to say this word. But if you keep acting more and more N-word-ish, and the fact that the guy who murdered a white guy raised $500,000. That, you're saying that is okay. But this woman says a word, and gets $700,000. That's more immoral than a kid who raised $500,000 off stabbing a white guy? You guys need to flush out your headgear and get with the program. Because it's not about race. It's about your behavior. It's about how you act in society. Are we okay? Aw, that was like the best part of my rant too. I'm kidding. All right. Let's go to New York. You want to go to New York? What's going on in New York? Teen Tren de Aragua faction. Okay, 11 alleged teen Tren de Aragua gang members attack NYPD officers. So 11 teen members of the ultraviolet Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua were allegedly involved in an attack against 2 NYPD officers on Friday night in Times Square, police sources said, Fox News. All right, lead paragraph, that's all we need. 5 of the suspects, we can go. 5 of the suspects, illegal aliens from Venezuela, have been arrested in connection with the attack, which involved a migrant crew throwing glass bottles, basketballs, and rocks at NYPD officers who were responding to a robbery. Brazen. I was 25 years ago, I was in Times Square. It was clean, it was beautiful, and it was incredibly safe. Now, it's just a hot mess. So, and of course you're going to see more stuff like this popping up in the news because, the heat's coming for these guys. So they're going to start acting up. All right, let's get 2 happier stories and then beat feet out of here. It's getting hot in this room. Summer's on its way. All right. Pet raccoon caught with meth pipe in its mouth when cops pulled over Ohio woman. Expect the unexpected. A raccoon with a meth pipe in its mouth was found at the front seat of a car when police in Ohio conducted a traffic stop that led to the discovery of the woman's supply of drugs. Are you sure it was hers? Or she saw the lights behind her, just handed it to the raccoon. You hold it. I guess we got to read the story before we start our conjectures. All right. Springfield Township Police pulled over Victoria Vidal, 55, on Monday for an active warrant and a suspended driver's license. The woman was detained, department wrote on Facebook. But when the officer returned the vehicle, he made an unusual discovery. A raccoon named Chewy was sitting in the front seat with a glass meth pipe in his mouth. I'm getting that last hit in, officer. Chewy had somehow gotten a hold of the glass methamphetamine pipe, leading officers to further inspect the vehicle. Or I think she hit it, and then the raccoon was like, oh, well, why are we hiding this? Let me see it. Who are these people? Why are they here? Why do you care if this is out in the open? Raccoons are dicks. Anyway, snitches get stitches, raccoons. All right. A search prompted the discovery of trash panda, led officers to find a bulk amount of meth, as well as crack cocaine and 3 used glass meth pipes. Oh, so they're just everywhere in the car. It was like, what's this? What's this? The raccoon's just like every single compartment. There's a meth pipe in. Raccoon was not injured in the incident, according to police. Well, that's important, I suppose. Thankfully, the raccoon was unharmed, and a notification was made to the proper authorities to determine that she has the proper paperwork and documentation to own the raccoon. Really? But she's a meth head. Why would they? Anyway. In Ohio, it is legal for residents to own a raccoon with proper paperwork and permits. It is unclear where Chewy was taken to or if the animal will be returned to Vidal. Right, she's a meth head. Maybe she shouldn't be having a raccoon as a pet. Anyway, let's go on to this next story. Because you're like, what did you do, you little turd? I don't know if EK can switch this story. He had to take a phone call, even though we're about to end the show soonish. So what can I even say about this? Boy orders 70,000 lollipops to his home using his mom's phone. I about fainted. Yep, boy orders 70,000 lollipops to his house using his mom's phone. I about fainted. All right, a boy in Lexington, Kentucky. Hey, I've been there. He may have to pick up a few more chores for his allowance after a sugar craving led to a costly mix-up. Who wrote this? Ashley J. Demella? Forgive me, young lady. She looks like a cute blonde. But it's not a bad lead paragraph. A boy in Lexington, Kentucky may have to pick up a few more chores for his allowance after a sugar craving led to a costly mix-up. Sorry for going editor mode. Lexington, Kentucky boy may have to do more chores after sugar craving led to costly mix-up. See, even that's not good. Anyway. All right, Holly Lefevre and her son Liam ordered about 70,000 lollipops to their home with her phone, the Associated Press reported. The 8-year-old used his mother's Amazon account to send 22 cases of Dum-Dums. At least they're not blow pops. It's way more, to the home. He told me he wanted to have a carnival, and he was ordering the Dum-Dums as prizes for his carnival. Wow, how many people do you expect? Or do you Google, it's like, all right, I'm having a carnival. Where's the closest carnival? All right, Yankee Stadium, 70,000 people. Oh, I'm going to need a lot of Dum-Dums. She said her son was just being friendly, just wanted to be kind to his friends to give him, free candy and stuff. Lefevre said her bank account showed she owed over $4,000. Oh, you didn't overdraft, did you? $4,000 for the order. When I saw what the number was, I about fainted, she said. Of the 22 cases delivered, there were 8 more cases unaccounted for. What? You didn't even get everything you paid for? So she went to the post office and found out that cases were returned to the sender. Why? Although Favors did receive refund for the purchase, she got lucky. It did take a while for her to get her money back. After a long day working with the bank and talking to a few news stations, Amazon called and they are refunding my money. She said in a social media post, according to the AP. To prevent another surprise order, Lefevre says she has changed some of her settings on her phone. We're glad we're able to work directly with this customer to turn a sticky situation into something sweet. Really? So usually I'm mad at the puns of the writers, but now it's just the Amazon spokesperson, which is what they told Fox News Digital. Jeez. We're glad we're able to work directly with the customer to turn a sticky situation into something sweet. Who do you think you are, Willy Wonka? What? I remember I was talking to EK about this before the show. It's like, what would you do to that kid? Like my first impulse, like me at that age, I would expect a spanking. But that doesn't happen much anymore. But now it's like every time your kid comes in the room and says, I'm hungry, you say, have a Dum-Dum. I mean, it may cost you more in dental bills, but it's like, Dad, I want something other than Dum-Dums. Tough cookies. You're having Dum-Dums. And then your kid, he's always in trouble at school because he's giving out candy. You know, you're sending your local dentist's kids to college because of this mistake. You know what I mean? The dentist is just counting the bills. He's like, oh, this mistake has made me a bunch of money. Thank you, kid. But I mean, seriously, do you hand your phone to your kid? And he's like, Mom, I want to order some Dum-Dums. Like one case would have been fine. I want to order some Dum-Dums for this carnival I'm going to have in my backyard. You know, and I expect 70,000 people to show up. And he's like, okay. It's like, here, use the phone and order what you want, and then it'll come. So I just wonder if like he hit too many like zeros or number of cases, or like a kid that age, he may have misunderstood like what a case was. It's like, what's a case? Is a case one? I'm going to have like maybe 20 people show up to my carnival, so I'll order 22 Dum-Dums. No, you get 22 cases of Dum-Dums. Anyway, it's going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again to go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Where'd the thing go? I got to speak it into existence. Patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today, and you can get the last patron pack with special prize inside. You can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. Send me money that way. You can follow me on social media at DNALETSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. Or you can follow me on Instagram at SLRobbins13 on the Instagrams. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.